everybody strike up the band. We're going to Crazy Joe's concession stand. He's got popcorn, soda, and delicious wieners. Forget all the shows over here, the grass is greener. He'll talk about movies and TV too. Crazy Joe reviews them all for you. He says go to eat, but roll into one. Join Crazy Joe and get all the fun at Crazy Joe's concession stand. Crazy Joe's concession stand. He knows movies like the back of his hand. At Crazy Joe's concession stand. Keep wearing those pajamas.
Good morning. Welcome back to Crazy Joe's Concession Stand. I'm Crazy Joe. We're waiting for Max. Max is not here yet, but that's okay. We said we're going live at 6:30. We're going live at 6:30. I trust Max will get here eventually. But we do have a special guest today. It's Mark Nelson from the Mahoning Drive-In and his own YouTube channel. Mark, I subscribe to your YouTube channel and I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is entitled The Cinemaniacs, even though there's only one of me. Okay. And there are other channels called The Cinemaniacs, but I've been doing it in some form for like 15 years, so I figured that's going to count for something.
Yeah, it's like my other channel is Crazy Joe Adventures, and there's also a Crazy Joe's Adventures with an apostrophe S, and it's like,
but there's only one you.
Yeah, there is. So, and I spell it with a K. He's with a C. So, well, this Friday, to anyone who doesn't know, I should bring the comments up, see who we got in the chat here. To anyone who doesn't know, this coming Friday, which is the 11th, is the opening night of the 2025 season of the Mahoning Drive-In in Lehighton, Pennsylvania. If you've never been there, Mark is going to tell us all about it because it's a very special place. I love it. I go there quite a bit during the season. And look who we have in the chat. It is Lisa Soares, who is driving all the way from Rhode Island to attend one of the events at the Mahoning in a few weeks that we're gonna be talking about. So yeah, why don't you, Mark? Could you tell us about the Mahoning? Because any of us who've been there, we know it's a very special place. But to the average person who's never been to a drive-in or this drive-in, they may not understand why.
Okay, we'll start at the very basic aspect. A drive-in is a place where you sit in your car or outside your car and watch a film on a very large screen outside with no roof, only a blanket of stars or, unfortunately, sometimes clouds above. The Mahoning Drive-In Theater opened in 1949, so this is our 76th season that we're about to start. And we are unique in that we're the only all 35 millimeter, all retro drive-in theater in the world. There are other drive-ins that can still do film and other drive-ins that do retro, but none are always retro and always film, aside from some special events that we do, like we are. I always say that every show is like a concert or a convention because everybody there likes that thing. So if you come out for our Rocky Horror Show, obviously that's a phenomenon in and of itself. If you come out to any of the Keanu Reeves show that we're going to do, everybody there is a fan of that thing. So it's the easiest place I've ever known to make friends. And overall, I think a lot of people who come to the Mahoning are not the most social types. Maybe we don't always possess the greatest social skills, but somehow it is this bubble that we all exist in where it's super easy to make friends and chat people up and have really great conversations about movies and music and pop culture, really.
That's definitely true. And yeah, that's another thing. You mentioned music. You guys always seem to have a themed DJ because, to anyone who doesn't know drive-in, it can't start till it gets dark. This just sounds like common sense, but
that's fresh information for some people. I have to say that. There have been times where people will roll in, in the middle of the summer, it doesn't get dark until 9 where we are. And people will roll in at 6 and they're like, okay, great. When does the movie start? And we tell them 9. And their reaction is like, I just told them that you have to lay under your car to watch the movie. They're like, what? So yeah, it is an after dark activity, but we try to keep it interesting every moment you're there until the film starts. Sorry.
Yeah. No. It's you usually have a DJ. It's usually themed to the event. And sometimes you bring in bands. There's on Sundays, very often you'll have like collectible shows, DVDs or toy shows or you name it. So it keeps it that you have, and you mentioned making friends there. That's one of the great things is you have ample time because you've got time to kill before the movie starts.
I always encourage people. People will say, what time does the movie start? And I always say, get there as early as you can. Number one, so that you can get your preferred spot. I mean, our screen is gigantic. It's one of the biggest outdoor screens on the East Coast, if not the biggest. And there's, plenty of places to park, but get there early and socialize. And like you said, we always give you something to do. Sometimes there's a photo op, whether it's a backdrop you can take a photo in front of, or some kind of recreation of a movie scene, or people in costume. We do a live DJ set in our projection booth, which is sizable. We have our 2 original projectors from the 40s, but we also have a DJ booth from the 80s that our former owner Jeff bought and brought in because he worked in radio for years. So it is a radio station DJ booth where someone will sit, usually a staffer or a customer will sit and spin tunes for, between 1 and 3 hours leading up to showtime. And they'll give you information about what's coming up and policy stuff you might need to know, but also if it's a giallo night, somebody will sit and play music from Italian horror films all night, or films from the year of the movie or something like that. We have, as you say, vendors. We have vendors at almost every show. The Exhumed Films show, Harry's usually there with Garage House Pictures, Exhumed Films, Diabolic DVD stuff. But if it's, we do vendor markets once a month. So like this coming Sunday, the 13th of April, is our halfway to Halloween market. We've got like over 30 vendors of various things that are going to be under the screen and in the rows and things like that. So there's always, I don't want to say there's always something you can spend your money on there, but there's always something to occupy your time that's not just sitting there, waiting for the movie to start a couple hours later.
Absolutely. And since you brought up Sunday the 13th, I do have a couple banners prepared here.
Nice.
That's when you're doing Candyman for Sunday. I'm going to try to be there for that one. So I'm looking forward to this one. But yeah, I love Candyman. I've never seen it in any kind of theater setting.
Oh, really?
Either. I saw it first on VHS. So
I saw it. I saw it opening weekend when it came out, and I went in pretty blind. I didn't really know much about it, and it just grabbed me. It was so creepy and such an interesting character. And Tony Todd is fabulous. And I don't recall if we have shown it on the big screen before, but that's part of the fun of the Mahoning too, is that for a lot of us, it's the first chance we get to see these movies on the big screen, because a lot of times, if you're into old pop culture, you're too young to have seen a lot of these things in theaters. We live in a sort of a new golden age, I think, of repertory cinema the last decade or two, especially in our area of Pennsylvania. It's insane how many places you can go and see old movies, but we're the only drive-in that does it. So it's always exciting to hear people say, I've loved this movie all my life, but tonight is the first time I'm seeing it in a theater.
yeah, I think the one you did a couple years ago that really I didn't think I would ever see this one on a big screen is I am a Monkeys fanatic, and you did Monkey Mania night and had Head. I don't know anyone's going to show Head.
It's going to happen again.
Really?
We haven't announced it yet. We're doing it again. It will be Head on 35 millimeter plus. I think 3 episodes of the series on 35, which is insanely rare because they were created on 35 millimeter for the networks to run, but they were never available for theaters. They were never supposed to be shown in theaters. But what we have access to via collectors, which is how we get a lot of the cool stuff we play, is a multitude of episodes that were from the 1969 reruns. So they have, some of them even have the original commercials in, some of them from 1969. So like you'll see a Brady Bunch commercial in the middle of a Monkeys episode. And some of them have the songs that were dubbed in for those later reruns. So you'll get songs from the last couple of albums dubbed over episodes that were shot around the time of the first album. And we'll have vendors and maybe sort of celebrities that are peripheral to that. So if you're a Monkeys fan, keep an eye out. We're planning it to be 4th of July weekend, but we just have some things we need to solidify before we can announce that.
All right. I'm looking forward to that then. And that's, you're talking about things that you haven't announced, and this one got me. You guys put something up on social media not long ago, and you were about to announce a show, and you said something weird is going to happen. And everyone in the comments assumed you were showing UHF, and you weren't. It was something weird video. So you guys immediately responded and booked UHF.
Right. By popular demand. That's what Virgil told me. He's like, so we booked UHF, and if you can do a quick write-up for that, just put sort of you asked for it and we answered. I thought it was very obvious that it said something weird is coming because that's literally what it was. But so many people thought UHF. And UHF is great. Like, we've never officially run that. We ran it as part of, as a secret feature, as part of our We Saved the Mahoning celebration several years ago. It still is going to be digital because we cannot source a print. But I will hint out that nobody knows this, by the way. So you get an exclusive. We have an extremely cool introduction to UHF that will be happening that was sent to us on video for that show.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. So what else? I really want to sell the place to people who've never been there before. For example, my co-host Max, he lives in the Pittsburgh area, and I've been trying to get him to drive out for one of your shows, and he's been a little reluctant. He's been like, "Well, I don't know. I'd be more interested in seeing like one of the old timey theaters in your area that's like an indoor theater, like the Colonial." And I keep pushing them. So I think if you haven't experienced this, hey, by the way, I'm going to tangent here. I'm sorry. You mentioned saving the Mahoning. That was the first time I was there.
Oh, really?
It was because you announced that the theater had been saved at the final day of the Joe Bob event, and that was my first time there. The Sunday night of Joe Bob.
that whole weekend is still somewhat of a blur for many of us. It was the whole story of that is, we don't own the property that our theater resides upon, which is very common for a lot of drive-ins. And one thing led to another behind the scenes, and the person who owns the land had optioned our theater as well as several others that he owns in the region for to become a solar farm. He basically optioned the land to a solar farm company, and we found out about that out of the blue. And we didn't really have much say in the matter because we don't own the land, but we went out to the public and basically said, here's the situation, and if you can, please contact this company and ask them to spare us. And our audience did the work for us within, I think, 48 hours, if even that long. The company called us and said they were backing out of the deal. They were dropping the option on our property, and we saved the drive-in. And we found that out. I think we found that out going into the Joe Bob weekend, which is the most insane weekend we've ever had there. And it was it was quite the roller coaster for that period of time. And your friend from Pittsburgh who hasn't gotten over the hump to come out.
He by the way, he just joined us.
Oh, great. So my job is to convince you to drive like the 8 hours to the beautiful downtown Lehighton.
Okay.
We always say that it's one show that gets somebody over the hump. It's always like somebody's like, yeah, I'm thinking about it, maybe. And then there's some show that they just can't miss, and they come out, and I don't want to oversell it, but so often people just say they fall in love with the place and they can't wait to come back. They get it, A lot of people are just like, I can watch that at home. I've got that on DVD. Why would I go out to a drive-in miles and miles away to see it? It's the overall experience and atmosphere. And if you are interested in seeing local regional classic theaters, there are several in the area. So if you are out for a weekend, the Colonial is unbelievable, and they do really cool repertory. I think they're running Night of the Lepus this weekend, so they're always doing something cool. So we always say to people, you can really hit a lot of different things in the area while you're visiting us, including the world's largest general store and the Snake and Animal Farm. So there's plenty to see.
I didn't know about the Snake and Animal Farm.
I used to pass it on my way when I lived in New Hampshire and drove down. It was on my route. It's in the At the Drive-In documentary that was made about our theater. And it was one of those things I would always pass, but I was always on my way to the drive-in. I couldn't go. So it's been this running gag for like a decade now with all of my coworkers that someday we have to do a group trip to the Snake and Animal Farm so I can finally see what's inside that place.
Oh, and by the way, you mentioned the At the Drive-In documentary. If anyone is interested, there is a full documentary about the Mahoning Drive-In at the Drive-In, and you can watch it for free. It's on Tubi.
I do want to check it out.
Yeah, it's free on Tubi. Check it out. And I watched it like 3 or 4 times, and then finally I bought it. I'm like, why am I watching this for free with commercials? I watched it enough. I'm just going to drop the $10.
Yeah, it's we sell it at the theater. It's still in print. Al Manelli did that, and he's gone on to do a lot of award-winning documentaries. And it's like the best commercial anybody ever could make for us. Like not a week goes by that somebody doesn't contact us and say they watched the documentary and they want to know how we're doing, or they want to come out. It's beautifully shot. It is on Tubi. It's on. I was looking for something to watch on Amazon Prime one day, and suddenly I saw my face because the still of me is used as At the Drive-In. It's like, you might be interested in this documentary. So it's streaming everywhere. The DVD has, I think, 3 commentaries and like 20 minutes of deleted scenes. So if you watch it for free and really love it, there's more to be had on the DVD.
Yeah, Max, you have about the same drive as Lisa. Lisa drives 5 hours from Rhode Island.
I'll do it eventually. I'll visit.
One day. We're not going anywhere.
And that's I should mention, because Lisa's here, the big show for her and for me. I go to a lot, but the one that brings her 5 hours is Muppets Take the Mahoning.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and
that's great.
It's presented, not only by the Mahoning Theater, but by Gene Beretta, who is the brother of Muppet performer Bill Beretta. So it's all in the Muppet family.
It's 2 features, and then it's video intros from a lot of like Muppet performers. Last year, Gene and Bill got an intro from Ricky Gervais, and it was Ricky Gervais, like it was his face, and he was laying almost underwater in a bathtub. It was very Ricky Gervais, and then people just show up with their own puppets that they've made. And the story I always tell is I was walking around the first time we did that show, and I saw a circle of people with puppets on their hands, and the people weren't talking to each other; the puppets were talking to each other. And
oh boy,
if you like the Muppets growing up, it's wonderful. It's a really happy day or 2 days, however we do it.
Yeah, and Gene always leads a sing along of the Rainbow Connection too. It's a great event. All right, so another thing that really sets the Mahoning apart is your what do we call it? Snack bar, concession stand.
Ooh.
I mean, hey, my channel's called Crazy Joe's Concession Stand. Gotta love the concession stand.
We love the concession stand.
You guys do a themed menu item for every show. By the way, my wife and I have noticed it's very often in ball form. You guys do a lot of balls. In fact,
we got a lot of balls at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. That's got a lot of balls.
I don't know what you're going to do on May 4th, but I guarantee you're going to have something ball shaped at.
It would almost be funny to just intentionally not do something that's meatball related on that day. There was, what was it, when we ran Labyrinth? She did a special called Bowie's Balls, and it was meatballs. It's very, very ball centric. It's fun. We started doing that years ago. It started as what we called the secret menu item, where we were just basically doing these bizarre Frankensteinian combinations of things that we already sold. And the best was a burger called the Great Scott. And it was like literally everything we served between 2 buns. So it was like burger, chicken patty, tater tots, fries. I had it. It was, I lived to tell the tale, so it didn't kill me that day. But from that grew like themed menu items to the movie. Sometimes it's something really unique. Sometimes it's a spin on something we often will offer. I was called the snack bar, like the clubhouse, because it's decorated with pop culture stuff. We've got a wall of VHS for sale. We've got a wall of albums for sale, DVDs and Blu-rays for sale, posters from our events. We do like a unique poster for every show that various artists will work on. One artist we work with a lot is Tom Bafulco, and he's doing a series. Every Thursday we do a single feature, the Thursday Thread Up show. He's doing a poster for every one of those shows this year, and it's one a week for 6 months. And every one looks like an old Topps trading card, so it all looks like it's part of a series. And I joked with him he should also do something, a piece of a larger piece on the back, so that if you buy them all, you can put them together like the old bubblegum cards used to and have some kind of wall-sized piece of art. But the snack bar is great. The snack bar is a fun place to hang out, and on a good night, that's like a social hangout during intermission too.
Absolutely, you very often have guests. Like, for example, opening weekend this weekend, and this is, by the way, to people who don't know, this is always your opening weekend. You always do Wizard of Oz and Willy Wonka. And you've got Mike TV. Paris Themin is going to be there, and that's. I mean, I met the Monster Squad last year at one of your shows. So, and I think I messaged you. I don't know. I know someone who wants to be a guest at one of your shows.
Oh yes, please. We're always looking for possibilities and connections.
Kevin Clash expressed interest. He said he hasn't been invited yet. So Kevin Clash apparently wants to come to the Muppets week.
That's excellent. Well, I think Gene's friends with him, so who knows? It may work out. The guest thing is very interesting. It's expanded over the years, and I've met so many people that I sort of take a quiet moment to reflect. Like this, I used to watch this person on TV in my bedroom, like whether it was on cable or videotape or TV shows or whatever. And now I'm having a conversation with them like a person. Like for our David Lynch weekend, one of the nights is always Twin Peaks based, and we had Michael Horst come out last year who played Hawk on Twin Peaks, but he also played Tonto in the 1981 Legend of the Lone Ranger movie, which I saw as a kid. So I got to talk to him about the Lone Ranger movie, and he had amazing stories. And we do that pretty often, not all the time, but Paris was supposed to come out like a year or two ago, but then something's changed with our schedule and he couldn't make it. So he's excited to come out. From everything I've heard, he's a super sweet guy, great guy to hang out with. And at least once a month, I think we have a guest come out. You know, sometimes people say, "Oh, you ought to have Tarantino come out. Oh, you ought to have John Carpenter come out." And some people suggest a lot of like A-list stars, and it's just like I always have to sort of quietly explain that there's fees involved, and it's a little more complicated than somebody would like to come out. But we welcome anybody who's interested. And sometimes if we can't get a guest out, we will have them do like a video introduction. I'm kind of shocked at the video introductions we've been getting lately for some of our films. So one way or another, we always try to add a little something extra to the show, so it's not just you sitting down and watching a movie and going home.
So let me turn the floor over to Max. You've never been there. Do you have any questions, Max? Is there anything that you're...
Oh no, it sounds great. I didn't know that you just what you said. You have like little introductions that makes it a little special. I also am intrigued by the food. I've been to a few drive-ins in my day, but it's basically just the basic stuff. So you try to mix it up a little bit. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah. I love drive-ins myself, and one of the things I love, we have a podcast called Mahoning Drive-In Radio, and we didn't do it this year, but usually in our off-season, we'll interview other drive-in owners and find out all about their theaters. And the thing I always ask is, what are your unique menu items? Because every drive-in has a little something different. We had some that had, what do they call it? A bloody Smurf. It was like a slushy drink, but it was like blue, but with a little red in it. And some of them have really odd, some of it's regional, some of it's just things they've come up with. For us, it's sort of the standard, you know, it's burgers, fries, hot dogs. We have vegan options, which I think is a little unusual. We do a show called Real Rumble every year where it's regional pro wrestling under the screen in a full-size ring before the show.
Wait, what? You got wrestling?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's one of our favorite shows.
Last year you did They Live, right? They Live with the wrestling?
It's always some film that's in some way wrestling related at night. But during the day, you get 2+ hours of wrestling, and it's really good, and it's really fun and funny. And these are people who are known sort of regionally. So the first time I thought, oh, this is going to be kind of cute. And then these wrestlers show up, and they've got fans, and people are cheering for them. And it's one of the most fun things that we do. It's an insane value for your $10 or $12 or whatever it is that you get 2 hours of wrestling, and then you get the movie you normally would get. So when we did the wrestling show the first time, a lot of the wrestlers, which you always think of as these big, strong, ravenous carnivores, they all requested, or a lot of them did, that we have vegan options. So we carried that, and our customers really liked it. And I mean, we're no fools. We do what people want. So we've been having vegan options for a long time, and those go over really well. Then we have popcorn and candy. A lot of people really love our popcorn. They say it's the best they've ever had. So
that's no joke. And Max, you know quite well, I go to a lot.
Oh yeah, he has a lot of popcorn.
I go to a lot of movie theaters. There is no popcorn better than the Mahoning. I don't know what you guys put in that popcorn. It's like crack or something, but
it's whatever they sprinkle on the fries at Five Guys that makes you not be able to stop eating them. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people have said that. It's a huge compliment.
I went to, over the winter, I went to another drive. I won't name names, but I went to another drive-in in our area that is open year round. And I remember they made an announcement and said, we have the best popcorn in the Lehigh Valley. And it was okay. It was fine.
It could have been the best popcorn of any currently open drive-in in the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, I would go with that. Yeah.
I really want to go to the other drive-ins that are near us, but I live out of state, so I'm only in town to work at the Mahoning. So it's very unusual that I have a night free when I'm down there. And like Becky's is very close to us. Shankweiler's is not too far from us. And I know a lot of our customers go to all three, and I would love to go as a civilian. The rare occasion that I'm at a drive-in, I don't have to like be in charge of anything, is like the ultimate in luxury. But maybe this year I'll make it happen.
Yeah, there's and the Delsey in Jersey. That's I think that's the oldest drive-in in New Jersey.
That's the only drive-in in New Jersey. Although I want to say there's a new one that's opening, or one that's reopening, Rose City or something like that. I follow a ton of drive-ins and drive-in Facebook pages, and I'm pretty sure New Jersey may be about to have 2 for the first time in forever.
Do you have any near you in Pittsburgh, Max? Is there any in that area?
I'll be honest, I go to movies, but I haven't been to the drive-in in a while. So I don't know if they're still there or not. I gotta do research. You got me excited to go try again.
The one you should check out is the Riverside Drive-In in Vandergrift, which is relatively close to Pittsburgh. The Riverside does a show twice a year called Monsterama. They do one in April called April Ghouls Monsterama, which usually kind of coincides with our opening weekend, but we're opening a little early this year. And then they do one around September 11th or so. And it is 2 nights, 4 movies a night. They have guests. They do raffles. It's what got me into traveling to go to drive-ins outside of my area. I used to drive from New Hampshire. It was like 9 or 10 hours out to Pittsburgh for that weekend for Monsterama every year.
Okay.
So you should look into that
cool.
because it's probably not that long a drive for you if you don't want to stay for the whole night. But it's a really good vibe, and they pack the house, and the great folks that run it, and they have a snack bar with like 1 or 2 vintage like pinball machines or arcade games. And I really miss not being able to go there. I used to never miss one of the shows at the Riverside. And then when I got as involved as I am with the Mahoning, I can't get away anymore.
Okay.
Now,
That sounds cool.
where are you? You're not driving from New Hampshire anymore, right?
No, I'm in New York now. So
you're in
New
New York?
Hampshire
Okay.
was like 5.5 hours. New York is 2.5. So to me, it doesn't feel like that big a deal because I listen to some podcasts and get in the mindset of going way back to the Mahoning, and by the time I get there, I'm ready to go.
Do you have a Monday through Friday job? Is this your full-time gig?
This is it. You'd be shocked.
That's great
at how
to
much
hear.
goes into.
Yeah.
It's like I said, we do the podcast. We do we have like 200 films we show a year over that 6 months. So it's a lot of promotion and organizing. I organize the raffles that we do, or most of them. I produce the podcast. I organize the video intros that we do. So for Virgil and I mean, everybody who works on the team does a ton of work and is great at what they do. But for us, it's like a million little details that we have to deal with. So as soon as we close, we take a week or 2 to rest. But this season, we did a road show. So we did 9 dates in 5 states over the course of 2 months, where we sort of took our thing out on the road to indoor theaters. That took up a lot of time. And then as soon as we were done with that was like 2 weeks ago, we wrapped that up, and now we're jumping into the season. So it is a full-time gig. Yes.
So have you considered moving to Pennsylvania? Like what's your typical weekend look like? You drive down on, because you're there for the Thursday thread up. So do you drive?
I'm not always there for Thursday. I'm there for Thursday if it's a movie I really want to watch.
Well, you need to be there on Thursday because the menu clearly says that we get hugs from you only on Thursdays.
So when we made that, I wrote a lot of what our website says, and a lot of it is foolishness. And when we were coming up with the menu, I put that on there because we were not open on Thursdays at that time. I have yet to have to deliver on that, but if called, I will serve.
Well, I remember the first time I showed my wife the menu. She'd never been there. She'd never been to the drive-in, and she says, "What's on the menu?" I sent her the menu, and she writes back, "I'm interested in the hug from Mark, but it's only on Thursdays."
Now that is more feasible than it ever was. Yes, we used to do Tunnel Vision Tuesdays with Exhumed Films, and we found that Tuesday in the middle of the week was hard for a lot of our staff because only a couple of us live terribly close to the theater. So we figured if we shifted that single weeknight screening to a Thursday, it was just 4 days we were open rather than 3 days and then a 1 day. It was a little bit of a mess. So the Thursdays are fun. The programming for them is really cool. They're very laid back. It's a smaller audience usually because it's a school night or a work night for a lot of people, but I may come down for some Thursday. So I may be in danger of distributing some free hugs this year because we've got like Twilight Zone, the movie we're running. We're running Flash Gordon next Thursday, which is, if you go back to our podcast, the first episode I did, which I think was episode 7, I talked about not seeing Flash Gordon at a drive-in when I was a kid, when it was new. So if I go to see Flash Gordon at our drive-in, it will be me finally seeing Flash Gordon that I started to watch at a drive-in like 45 years ago, which is insane that I can be alive long enough to say anything for me was 45 years ago. So yeah, the free hugs, you just try and find me.
All right. Well, here is something that is going to going to be of interest to Max. You
Okay.
have a bunch of annual events. Muppets Take
That's
the
what I was going to
Moaning-
ask about. Yeah.
Muppets Take the Moaning's one, but there's one event that is really in Max's wheelhouse. VHS Fest.
VHS Fest is insane. It's if you don't know what VHS Fest is, it is now 3 days of a gigantic analog media / VHS marketplace. So every vendor there. I think one year we had like 60 vendors, and that really was kind of too many. So I think we've scaled it back to 30 or 40. It is sort of the hottest ticket of the year for us, strangely, for what this is. We work with Lunch Meat, if you know Lunch Meat, the mavens of VHS culture, Josh and Ross from Saturn's Core. They put the whole show together. They come out, they vend, tons of vendors, celebrity guests. This year we have Frank Henenlotter coming out with Basket Case, and Gorman Bashard, who did Psychos, A Love Story, I believe, and another director. And it's just insane. And the movies themselves, the whole show is hosted by the Found Footage Festival. So Nick and Joe from Found Footage come out and they host the show, and they basically do like what would be one of their shows, but they break it up before each movie. So you get the Found Footage Festival before each film. And then it's movies played from VHS tape and their original like video store kind of movies from like 80s, 90s movies that you would have rented back then that were straight to video for the most part. So a lot of it's like shot on video stuff, like micro budget stuff, just bizarre stuff on video. And it's the wildest weekend that we do. It's a show that is not long after we close each year. We have people asking us, what are the dates for VHS Fest? Is vendors, can I vend at VHS Fest? Is vending open for, I mean, like literally every day currently. I'm dealing with emails for that because we haven't really announced it yet. So it's a show that sells out very quickly. It books up the local hotels very quickly, and it's all about videotape. It's all about videotape. It's funny. I do a podcast. I do a movie review show and everything. And sometimes I want to talk about a format and I'll just reach out and grab it. So I can reach out and grab you a videotape. I can reach out and grab you 35 millimeter film. What do I have here? Oh, look, it's a Blu-ray. I've got 16 millimeter over my shoulder. It's ridiculous. Anyway, sorry. I speaking of tangents. VHS Fest is amazing.
Let's see the CED.
I definitely want to come.
CED.
CED. I do have one, but it's in the other room, and I've got Laserdiscs, but they're not in the room with me. I do have. Oh, here you go. Hey, look, it's a vinyl record.
Do you know what I have right now? And you're going to be getting some of them. They're going to be coming to you guys.
It's not diphtheria, is it?
I currently have 250 Redbox discs.
Oh my god. Excellent.
I found an abandoned Redbox and it was just giving them out like candy. And I said, well, I'm going to free the discs because that's going to get hauled away. And I don't want the movies ending up in a landfill. So
it was just there with all the discs still in it.
And it was just spitting them out. You know, you could just go in, get whatever. And I was like, well, I'm not letting these movies go to a landfill.
I can't believe that's a thing. It's amazing.
So then you went to try to find the nearest ATM machine to try your luck, right?
Oh yeah. No luck there. But all right. Well, Mark, I don't want to hold you up all night. Let's get to the. I want to talk about some of the. I showed some of the events you got going. So we got opening weekend. That's this weekend. Candyman's also this weekend, but you've got Friday and Saturday night is Willy Wonka and Wizard of Oz.
And we switched the order of the films on the second night in case there's anybody who doesn't want to stay up late to see their favorite.
Yeah, I think we're coming on Friday because my daughter loves Wizard of Oz, and
it looks great on that big screen too.
I didn't grab everything. You've announced several for the year, but I grabbed some of my favorites. You're doing Hitchcock Till You Drop.
Ooh,
yes,
I would be interested in that one.
That is all killer, no filler on that one. Hopefully this does well enough. Like with any show that we announce when somebody has a large body of work, a lot of times the comments online will be, why don't you show this? You should show this. And the answer is, if people come out to this and it's success, we can do it again and we will show those other things. So hopefully we can keep doing it. I just saw today, sometimes for a photo op, as I said, we have like a set constructed and really amazing things and props and all that and costumes. And sometimes it's just a really cool designed banner that people can take a photo in front of. And we have one for Hitchcock that our friend Andrew Kern, who does those things you were just showing, those graphic ads that are on social media. That's Andrew Kern who does those, and he'll manipulate the art, and it's like all these various elements from Hitchcock movies that you can stand in front of. It looks really cool. So hopefully people come out for that. I'm a huge Hitchcock fan, and I've never seen a couple of those on the big screen.
Here's a really good one. Max, you're gonna like this one. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yes.
Many Faces
Oh,
of
wow.
That's
Perfect.
nuts. That
Yeah.
will feature the 1989 Batmobile.
Wow.
And we did do a Batman. We've run the 66 Batman as a standalone, and we had the 66 Batmobile come out. And we did a weekend where we ran 4 Batman movies. So it was like 89 Batman up through whatever the 4th in that series were, the Schumacher. This is a little bit of a different spin on that, where it's a different Batman in each film. And as somebody pointed out, a different Joker in each film too. And that should be really cool. There's going to be Big Kid Toy Store, who we're great friends with, is going to have a big display of Batman and comic toys, and I think we may have some other vendors there too. So it's like a little mini Batman focused Comic-Con that day, those 2 days really.
And
That's awesome.
I want to point out to RBG Entertainment, he mentions he grew up near Shankweiler. If you're near Shank either, so
Shankweiler's is run by Matt and Lauren, and Matt was one of the guys who resurrected the Mahoning. It was Matt and Virgil and Jeff for many years when I started there.
Yeah, he's in the documentary.
Yeah, they're doing great stuff there. They're lucky that they're digital, so they can mix and match. So sometimes they'll do a brand new movie and an old movie to pair with it. Sometimes it'll be old stuff. Sometimes it'll be new stuff. I haven't gotten over there since Matt took it over, but I really want to. And it is the oldest drive-in in the country.
I was there for the first time this year because you guys were closed and they were doing a winter event of The Thing and The Shining.
That's an annual for them.
And I said, yeah, I think I'll go to that. And my friend's like, are you crazy? It's going to be cool. Because we like sitting outside the car. And I said, for this one, I'll sit in the car. I'll keep the heat on. But all right. What do you have anything coming up this year that maybe you haven't announced yet that you want to announce here? Or is there any that you're really psyched about?
I'm psyched about the Monkeys show because I'm a mega fan. Like it sounds weird to say that's my show, but that's the show that I really created for us. I'm trying to think of what else we haven't announced. There's a lot more Thursdays coming. There's a Thursday show. Unless Exhumed, sometimes when Exhumed works with us, like for Zombie Fest or Camp Blood will come back. The David Lynch show will come back. We just have to work out the details on a lot of those. We just announced Schlockorama with Exhumed Films, which is an insane lineup. It 100% the kind of movies that I love, like 60s, 70s drive-in schlocky stuff. I'm trying to think. There are more. If Virgil was here, he would have it on the tip of his tongue. I don't want to break your gaze and have to look it up. But it's a ton of stuff. We've only announced up into July so far, and we're open until October. So there's a lot. Universal Monster Mash will come back. That's become our final show of the year, and a lot of annuals and a lot of new stuff on the way.
How do you is there a rule or is there no set rule for how often you'll repeat a movie? Obviously opening weekend's the same every year, but do you try to have a rule that like not to show the same movie 2 years in a row? Or
I prefer it that way. We usually try to put a little bit of space because we want to keep it fresh and keep new things coming. Opening weekend has always been the same to make it a tradition. And for a lot of us, with The Wizard of Oz was a movie we saw on TV once a year, every year. And you got super excited for that, to see it on TV before we all had on demand and home video and stuff. So that stays the same to become this local tradition for our customers and local families. But otherwise, yeah, we'd like to put maybe at least minimum 2 years between bringing some films back. Occasionally we bend that because something is just too good a theme to pass up. But otherwise we'd rather show something we've never shown before than to bring something back that maybe we just ran.
Because there's one I keep pitching every year. Because there's a box in the concession stand suggest a double feature, and there's one I have consistently been suggesting. But you did one of the movies 2 years ago, and I keep suggesting He-Man double feature: Canon Films Masters of the Universe and the animated Secret of the Sword.
That's brilliant. The hardest part of that might be finding the print of the Filmation film, which I saw in the theater. I remember going to see that in the theater, and then I remember it being on TV as a 2-part episode. My memory of like 2 or 3 weeks later, it was on TV. But that would be cool. Like I've talked about wanting to do G.I. Joe versus Transformers and show the animated Transformers movie and the animated G.I. Joe movie.
That would be good.
if we could find a 35 print of one or both of those. That's the hardest thing for us, is we try to stay true to it being on film.
Yeah.
And the more time
Do you ever-
passes, the more it's a matter of finding the collector who has that print, because the studios.
I found
Do you ever
some-
get donations, or you have to track these down?
It's a mix. You know, we have to find out who owns the rights, and then we'll go to the studio and they'll tell us whether they have a print or not. Part of the thing that I do too is I'm a print hunter. Like, I'll have to look up, when was the last time anybody played it? And then if I can contact that theater, where'd you get it from? But certain collectors we meet have just huge collections that they will, let us run the prints from. We still have to pay the rights to whoever owns the rights to the film, but we don't have to pay the rental to the same people. So it's tricky. We do get approached by people saying they have films. We actually bought a print of a film that I can't believe nobody else has, that we're going to be running at an event later this summer. When we were in Delaware for our road show at the Everett Theater there, we picked up a print, and apparently this person has a lot more. So we have a bit of a film collection, a library. Jeff years ago had bought a collection of like 60 features from somebody, but a lot of those are really not very commercial. They're not the kind of thing that we would run and really have anybody show up for. So we're trying to sort of pare that down, but acquire things we think we might be able to run a few times. So it's an interesting adventure. It's like a celluloid Indiana Jones sometimes, trying to find these things.
Yeah, I almost bought a 35 millimeter print of the Secret of the Sword, the Filmation He-Man movie. It was for sale on eBay for $400.
It's not a bad price for a feature.
But I knew my wife would kill me. She's gonna be like, "What are you gonna do with that? You have no means to show a 35 millimeter."
That's the thing. That's what kept me away. Like, I've collected trailers for years because I used to do indoor retro shows, and I let the drive-in borrow the ones that I have whenever they're useful. But a feature is like, how often are you going to play it? Is the thing. Like, I do own one feature. I own a print of the movie Time Rider, which is a movie I love from my
Michael
youth.
Nesmith.
Yeah, the Adventures of Lyle Swan. The first time I saw Fred Ward was in Time Rider, and it's a super fun movie. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, great, you own it, and you happen to work for a theater that will show it. Well, how often is the theater going to show a movie nobody remembers anymore? So it's
see, that's
sometimes
what
we do find people who have a print of some movie they love, and they'll loan it to us, and it's great because it's usually the only way we can show it.
So you could tag that on at the end of the Monkeys night, like for the people staying overnight.
I'm thinking about it, but I think the Monkeys show is on a Sunday, which it makes it a late night for a lot of people anyway. So a lot of times we don't want the show to end. We want to keep giving people more and more and more for their admission ticket. But it does come to the point where you're like, everybody, it's almost starts to be punishing to people. They're just like, it's 4 a.m. I want to go home. I got to work tomorrow. So.
That's another thing that we did not mention is that you allow people for just a little bit extra money to spend the night on at the drive-in. They can camp out. They can sleep in their car.
Really?
But if they don't want to drive home, you guys
offer
an extended ticket to spend the night.
The extended pass. It's something that they started doing before I was an employee. I started as a customer. I used to just drive down the weekends to see old movies at a drive-in. And the only way I was able to afford it was to sleep in my car overnight. And the way the extended pass works, it's an extra $10 per person per night. And you can sleep in your vehicle. You can set up a tent. And the idea is that it's safer than driving home late at night after some of our shows. And it's cheaper than a hotel room. A lot of times the local hotels are booked up because we're near the tourist town of Jim Thorpe, which is super popular. Near there is Penn's Peak, which is a concert venue. There's a speedway near us. People do have a lot of weddings in the area. So you drive into Lehighton and you think, there's nothing here. This is a hotel near an off-ramp. And you find out the place is packed, is sold out. So the overnight extended pass that we do allows people to safely not have to drive home super late through windy, sometimes foggy roads, and they can leave, before noon the next day. A lot of drive-ins do it for special events or just all the time.
Okay, that's cool.
It's a customer service, a customer safety as far as we're concerned.
Well, Mark, we've monopolized about 45 minutes of your time. I don't want to keep you because I know you got a lot to do preparing for the weekend. But thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
It's one of the few things I can talk endlessly about with any kind of confidence. Yes, it's what I do. Tomorrow night we have a Patreon program for the drive-in, which I run. And one of the perks of that for the top level is we do a secret screening once a month. And it's a movie. We don't tell anybody what it's going to be. We'll give you.
I was just going to suggest that type of thing. That's awesome.
I love it. So I love movies and I love obscure movies and things. So we pick something that we hope will be good, we think will be good from either our collection or the collection of a friend, and we tell people, okay, it's this era, it's this genre, it's this rating, but we're not going to tell you what it is. And the members who are in that top tier get in free, and they show up, and we have a great time. I DJ for however many hours until showtime.
You're
If
a
I got any
DJ
new
too.
trailers,
Wow.
I play trailers. If I found a short that I didn't even know we had. I'm not going to say what it is because nobody's going to know, but it's a short film. We'll throw that on after the movie. So it's like a insiders club, very casual, very laid back. It feels like the early days at the
No, I don't want to spoil, I don't want you to spoil your Patreon show for this year, but can you give us like a hint, like what some of the ones you did last year were? So get an idea, like
Oh
what kind
boy,
of shows we get?
well, we ran Time Rider at one
Oh.
point because I own it. And I think most people liked it. We ran The Night Visitor, which is a early 70s Max von Sydow thriller. We ran a movie called Underwater from the 50s with Jane Russell, and it all takes place underwater, or it's about divers looking for treasure and stuff. And there's a sequence I've never seen in any movie where people talk to each other underwater, and it's like that scene in Top Secret where they're all like, and I just was cracking up. I couldn't believe it. But it's stuff from the 50s up through we ran The Dark, that late 70s horror movie, The Dark, which is a great drive-in movie. I really try to rotate. I spin the wheel. It's like a different genre and a different decade every time we do it. We also do a virtual show like that we license things from the AGFA library. So once a month, our Patreon top tier members get a virtual show, and then once a month, April to October, they get a 35 show as well. And it's just fun. It's fun, and we discover together. I always say, if this movie sucks, don't blame me. I picked it, but I've never seen it. We're going to find out together if this is any good. We're going to find out together what the quality of the print is too. A lot of times we'll run things first for the Patreon members, so we all can find out, is this something we might want to show to a paying audience? Are these trailers in good shape? Are they fun? When we bought that collection of like 60 features, we also got, I think it was like 20 reels of trailers, which is each reel is maybe a dozen trailers. So we got a huge amount of really cool old film material. So yeah, the Patreon shows we love. And traditionally now we do them the night before we open to the public. So it's like an extra perk is that the Patreon people are the first people to be able to come back to the theater. And again, I could talk all night about this. So stop me before I yap again.
Well, I do feel like we do need to say just a little bit before you go about Jeff, who
absolutely
passed away last year.
I'm sorry for your loss.
He's the reason why we're all here, or not all three. Well, he's the reason the three of us are here, because if I wasn't involved, if the theater wasn't what it is, thanks to him, nobody would be talking about the Mahoning anymore. Jeff Maddox passed away last year, unsurprisingly to us. He was in his early mid 60s, and he had a medical procedure done. And it was one of those things where it was just some kind of a weird complication after the fact, and suddenly he was gone. He had been the manager at the Mahoning since 2001. And he was the guy who partnered with with Virgil and Matt to say, it was right when it's all detailed in at the drive-in documentary available everywhere, right when the digital conversion was happening. The Mahoning, like a lot of theaters, looked at the cost of a digital projector, which I think was like $100,000 at the time. So it was like the digital projector and all the things you had to do to be able to run it. And he was like, we can't afford this. And every other theater we had at the time, we had a 6-screen multiplex 2 minutes up the road that was showing all the new movies. Becky's and Shankweiler's all showing the same movies. I mean, if you look at most drive-ins right now or indoor theaters, they're all showing pretty much the same movies. So he's like, why don't we stop competing with everybody? Let's go retro and stick with 35 millimeter. And he was the one who had that idea with Matt and Virgil to do that. And that's what brought us to what we are now. I mean, it was a slow snowball to become whatever level of success we are now. But
which everyone pretty much thought you guys were crazy when you did that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to do, especially at the time. Now it does. The pandemic was, it always seems weird to say the pandemic was good to us, but we did really well during the pandemic because we're the only place that could be open, and it got us a lot of new people. And the pandemic showed, I think, a lot of exhibitors that there's money to be made in retro programming. You see a lot of retro programming now. When we started doing it, there wasn't a tremendous amount. I mean, you had the repertory houses in the big cities, but you didn't see local theaters showing old stuff all the time. And his crazy idea was born out, and he was just this funny, cool, super sweet, generous guy who took us all in. We were all volunteers for the first couple of years because we loved it so much, and he basically would find somebody with a talent and let them. He would say, "I let him off the chain." He would find somebody with a talent and let him do their thing. And the way he ran the Mahoning up until he passed away has served us well in that we all were kind of doing our own thing under his guidance. So when he left us, we were able to just keep doing what we had been doing. I mean, it was quite a shift to not have him around anymore, and a lot of things internally changed, but we'd like to think that it's a relatively seamless change from Jeff being the owner operator to Virgil being the business owner and operator. And he was a great guy. I think about him all the time. There's things, he was a fellow, like me, he was a fellow Beatles fan, a fellow Monkees fan. He was a former DJ. He loved old music and old movies and old TV. So we were friends. Like, we talked about that stuff all the time. And like, whenever you lose somebody, whether it's a relative or a friend, you get those moments after that where you're like, "Oh, I need to tell Jeff about," oh yeah. And that still happens. There's still things I see that I want to tell him about, and I realize he's not around anymore. But we do everything we do every night in his honor, in tribute to him. We've got a beautiful tribute wall with photos and beautiful artwork that some customers have done of Jeff, and we try to run it the way we think it would make him proud, basically.
That's awesome.
I
I want to visit now for sure. Thanks, Mark.
Oh, hey, happy to do it. I mean, I don't feel like a shill quite so much because I believe in what I'm talking about. You know, I was a customer for years, and I still conduct myself at the theater the way I would like it to be if I was still a customer there, in terms of, you know, how we conduct the business, what we charge for things, what kind of things we show. I'm not in charge of all that, but I have input, and how we run the place to be as customer friendly and as really as movie fan friendly as possible, because we all are. I mean, if you look at the slideshows before our shows that run between like sundown and when the movie starts, Dave, our lot manager, makes all of those, and they're amazing and they're funny and they're little gifts for the fans of the films that are there that night, because when you look at them, you clearly know that a fellow fan of this stuff is doing it. And that's what even to the DJ sets that we do, we try to really make it be, you feel like you've come back home, even if you're coming out for the first time.
You know, we talked a little bit about the Joe Bob Briggs show, which I said was my first show. And you mentioned how crazy that was. And I have to say, I did not get the feel for what the Mahoning was like until the second time I went, because that weekend was so atypical. For example, like, there was a long line to meet Joe Bob, and I was in line for a couple hours waiting to meet Joe Bob.
It was like that when we had Bruce Campbell out too. The line snaked from where he was all the way around the lot, almost out the exit. Yeah, the Joe Bob show was the most people we've ever had on site, and it was a circus in all the best and worst ways. So it was it really. I always joke internally that the first Jamboree was our Vietnam. It was really, you had every kind of weather. You had insane rain and wind. You had a punishing heat. You had so many people there. You had all of us just trying to keep up with it, because I say that why we have a cutoff. Like, we consider a sellout show 650 tickets, because that's really the most people that the infrastructure and the whole complex can handle. Before that, more than that, which is what the Joe Bob show was, it starts to feel like you're at Epcot, you know, where it's just like a huge line for everything. And we try to scale that back, but that's, you know, we and the Joe Bob organization, you know, learned from that, and they've gone on to do it at multiple other drive-ins, and it was the first time any of us had done it. You know, they were TV people putting on a live show, and we were a live event / movie theater people putting on like this giant convention. It was amazing, and it was not a typical Mahoning experience. It was just overloaded.
What's funny though is, I think, and you know, my memory could be wrong here, I think the second time I was there was the Monkey show, which a complete opposite, because I mean, look, I love the Monkees, but we monkey fanatics in the year 2025 are a small group, devoted but small. So you went from this huge event to something much smaller, and that was the time when I really was like, oh, I love this place. Like, I didn't leave the Joe Bob event loving the Mahoning. I didn't have a bad time, but I didn't fall in love with the place until the second time. It was that more intimate show when you see this is what it's usually like. This is that's when it was like, oh no, this place is really special.
Yeah, we do sold out shows. I mean, it's good for us when we do a sold out show.
Right.
But I mean, we treat every show the same way. So if 10 people show up, you're getting the same show as if 600 people showed up.
Right.
You're just not waiting for anything quite so long. We do our best with the lines. Certain things, they just take however much time they take. But at its heart, the Mahoning is a bunch of friends hanging out.
Yeah.
Even if you're a stranger and you've never been there before, you're going to feel like it's a bunch of friends hanging out and you're part of it. And those more intimate shows, the Monkey Show, I don't remember what the numbers were. That did well enough so that before the sun even went down, Virgil looked at me and I looked at him and I said, "So we're doing this again, right?" Because it was a fan gathering. It's like a little convention for a group that doesn't really have a convention dedicated to it. So that's like I say, every show feels like a convention more or less. Some are pretty low key. The Thursdays are pretty low key, but it's we do everything we can from the moment you round that corner to come up to the gate to the moment you leave to let you know you're among friends who like the same stuff you do.
And that's one of the interesting things too, is you never know what to expect when you're pulling up at when you turn the street and come up to the gate. You never know if you're going to have a long lineup of cars. It's like, am I the only one interested in this, or is this? Because I've been to your shows where not many people have shown up, and I've been to the ones that are jam packed, and you really just don't know which it's going to be till you pull up.
No, and it's so many factors. Like every time we announce a show, there's I don't know if I should say it or not, but I created once just for a couple of our staffers and myself to be amused by. I called it Mahoning comment bingo, and it was like a bingo card with all the comments that we just get all the time about things. And no matter what date we announce something for, what day of the week, it's always, why does it have to be on a Friday? Why does it have to be on a Saturday? I wish it wasn't on a Sunday. We have to have a show every night. So sometimes shows just aren't good for people. Sometimes they have other plans. Sometimes there's another event that's going on that competes with us. So it's partly it's the stars aligning in luck as to how well some shows do for us. Sometimes the weather isn't good, or sometimes the weather threatens to not be good and is fine by showtime, but that scares people off. So you never know. I think it's a good time either way. It's not as great for our business, but I love the nights when there aren't that many people there because it feels like it was in the early days. It's just this quiet little retro cinema oasis in the middle of nowhere, a cinematic brigadoon, as it were, that we all kind of come together and enjoy old movies.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. I will share one story with you. Last year at the opening ceremony or the opening night, Wizard of Oz, I was waiting to get into the concession stand, and Virgil saw me, and he walked over and he gave me a hug and he said, "Welcome home." And I have to say, yes, it's a home away from home for a lot of people. That's what it is, and his words couldn't have been more perfect.
That's what a lot of us feel like. We are. Sandy she's our merch manager, and she helps coordinate the special event T-shirts and things that we do. And for opening weekend this year, it's a graphic, artistic rendering of our screen and some cars at our drive-in, and it says "There's no place like home" on the screen. I always, there's no place like Mahone, as it were. It really does feel like that. And I said earlier, it's a place where so many people who maybe feel like they don't fit in, feel like they fit in at our place. We don't judge, it's let your freak flag fly. And
except for that one guy.
Except for that one guy.
He knows who he is.
There's always that one guy. But, we just have fun, and it does feel like it's everybody's happy place because you can put the world on pause. You can put time and reality on pause, roll through the gates. It looks more or less like it did in 1949. You're surrounded by retro pop culture stuff, and you're there to celebrate your love or discovery of some old movie on the big screen.
Cool.
All right, Mark, thank you for being with us. This weekend, starting Friday, the Mahoning back open for business. So if you are anywhere in the area, Pennsylvania, New York, look, Mark's driving down from New York. You can make this. Lisa comes from Rhode Island.
We have regulars from Vermont, New Hampshire. We have a guy from Tom from Michigan who drives out from Michigan so often that people think he lives relatively close. We have a good friend of ours from New Orleans who flies out. We have friends from LA who fly out a couple times a year. It is in no way bragging. It's me that I can't believe that this little thing that I have a hand in draws people from that far away. But there's magic in those ramps.
We have a friend, Max and I have a friend who lives in Florida, I invited him to be here. He couldn't be here, but it's a little movie perp. He's never been to a drive-in because apparently
wow.
they don't have
Wow.
drive-ins. They don't have drive-ins in Florida right now. I guess because it rains so all. I don't know.
There's a couple, but I know a few really were severely damaged, like their screens were half torn down, or there was floods and things like that. It's always a huge compliment when somebody tells us or tell one of our staffers that they've never been to a drive-in and that we're there first, like that they chose our drive-in to be their first drive-in experience is amazing. The same way that it's a crazy thing, and we already we're setting some up. We have people who they get married at our theater. Like we could rent the theater out for weddings, and at least 5 or 6 times last season there were marriage proposals that were done at our theater, either on screen or over the radio, or unbeknownst to us, or sometimes involving the celebrity guests and things like that. So it's a magical place.
That's amazing.
All right, well there you go, Mahoning, Lehighton, Pennsylvania. Go. You'll be happy. You'll be happy.
I know I'm going to visit sometime soon. I know.
Please do.
Yeah, you can crash here. Yeah.
I don't have to crash at your house. I could crash at the theater.
Oh, good.
Well, no, that's the wrong terminology.
Don't crash at the theater.
I could use the extra, use the weekender thing.
You can sleep in your car like a cinematic hobo.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Some people might call me that already.
That's a t-shirt you guys got to make.
A lot of
cinematic
us.
hobo.
Cinematic nomads.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to do it for this stream. Thanks everyone for joining us, and I hope I've piqued your. I hope Mark has been able to pique your curiosity to possibly attend if you're in the area. And Sean's late. No, they are not converted to digital. All
they refuse.
We have what we call a digi booth, which is a little makeshift booth that is closer to the screen that has a sort of prosumer, like an auditorium video projector. And we use that for our pre-show slideshows and our video introductions, and to run the VHS tapes through at VHS Fest. And on the off chance that we can't get a print, we will run a digital copy, but it's not like a normal DCP that you would see anywhere else.
Sean says Christie platters.
Not platters. They are actually, we run reels. They're 2 projectors side by side. So every 20 minutes, our projectionist is changing from one to the other like they did back in the 40s. That's the only way that most studios and a lot of collectors will allow prints to be shown anymore. Because
really?
For platters, you had to take, usually if a print is like 4 or 5 reels from the length of most movies, about roughly 20 minutes a reel. And they would have to be cut together as one long strip of film for a platter to run through a system and then be looped back again for the next show. That came in the 70s or 80s, I believe. But eventually the studios didn't want people chopping and splicing the films because you would lose footage over time. So sometimes you'd see an old print and it would jump from like the end of one scene to into the next. That's because of all that cutting and splicing. So we can't do that anymore. So the only way we can do it is with the original. We did have a platter for a while, back when the later years of it being filmed before we went fully retro, but Jeff insisted. He wanted everything to be original, or as close to original, so he put it back to the two projector system.
Wow.
So Max, after hearing this, are you excited?
No, yeah. Especially, I know I'm probably going to be there a few times. Definitely the VHS Fest, whatever, I forget what it's called. And yeah, there's a few other events that sound interesting. I think we should do a GoFundMe for that G.I. Joe animated.
If anybody knows,
or He-Man animated that you were suggesting, Joe, so that could make that happen.
If people know where there's a 35mm print of either of those, send us an email at the theater so we can start to formulate those plans.
But
I'll contribute. I'll contribute to it.
But Max, you would say you're excited then.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been this excited.
You're excited? Feel these nipples.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That was perfect.
All right, everybody. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to Max. And I know Virgil couldn't be here tonight, but our hats off to him. I'll be seeing him this weekend. So until next time, keep wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas
with the plastic feet.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
Tell everyone you meet.
Keep wearing those pajamas
with the back door flap.
Keep pajamas. Don't open, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them peaches, some people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander adamas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep wearing those pajamas. I know we're having fun. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now the song is done.